Hello, folks. I'm Mark Stay. Welcome to this month's update on what's going on with the End of Dragons and all the other stuff that I scribble about. Do feel free to ask questions, pop them in the comments, whatever. I don't have my daughter Emily with me this month. She's off gallivanting about somewhere. My wife's off bell ringing. I'm all alone in the house, which is slightly terrifying. So bear with me when it comes to the comments and answers and stuff like that. I've got a very special guest to chat with tonight. But first, Dragons, the End of Dragons, here it is. It's been out a month, so why am I here? Well, it's out there. What's to get excited about? Well, there's more to a book than its publication day. And if anything, the more books I publish, the less important publication day feels. It's all about those years after publication that matter. At every Comic-Con or festival that I do now, I sell more of The Crow Folk than any other book. But that first month of publication is important, as you soon discover how readers are reacting to the book and what they like or what they dislike and all that kind of stuff. So I want to take this opportunity just to thank everybody who's left a review or a rating up on Goodreads or Amazon. It really does make a big difference to the visibility of the book, and it tells our artificial intelligence overlords that other people might enjoy the books too. And I know that many of you have jobs, lives, family, and staggeringly other books to read. But once you've read The End of Dragons, whenever you've done it, or any of my books, or any author's books for that matter, leave a rating, review, pop it on your blog, give it a quick mention on social media, tell your friends, stop random strangers in the street, mention it on the news at 10, whatever it takes. Now, I'm seeing lots of comments from people on YouTube. Is anyone from Facebook there? Can someone from Facebook say hello, or has Facebook let me down again? Let's just check the feed there, because it's been pretty... Oh, no, we're live. That's good. Excellent. Good. Lou, my sister's there. Hello, Lou. So after it's been out a while as well, what I was thinking, I might do a spoiler special of The End of Dragons on one of these live streams. Maybe get a few of you up here to talk about it. How would you feel about that? Is that a good idea? Would you like to do that? So let me know. I've got a bit of news for you as well about the release date for The Corn Bride, which is the 5th of Witches of Woodville novel, and The Corn Bride is coming 13th of March 2025. You can find there's a pre-order link which I'm going to paste in the comments now. So let me just pop that in there. Also, all the comments as well and links and things I'm going to put on my blog after this as well, and I'll put them in the description below when we're done as well, so you can check that out. Now, the US Kindle isn't up for pre-order yet. I self-published the series in the US, and as an indie author, I need finished cover art to put it up for pre-order, and that's not quite ready yet. The good news is that the brilliant Harry Goldhawk is working hard on what I know is going to be an amazing cover. I've seen some roughs already. Also, I have to get a signed letter from Simon & Schuster to prove to Amazon that I have the rights, so I'm just waiting for that to come through as well. Do you want me to read the blurb? Does anyone want me to read the blurb? Yeah, is that a yes? Okay, well, I'm going to read it anyway. So this is the blurb for The Corn Bride. You are cordially invited to the strangest wedding of the year. It's May 1941 and the war is in full swing. Yet in the quiet Kentish village of Woodville, a happy event is on the horizon as Faye Bright interrupts her training with the British Secret Service to return home and marry her true love, Bertie. But as preparations get underway, a ghostly premonition throws a spanner in the works. Who is the Corn Bride, and is her burning visage a warning or a threat to the happiest day of Faye's life? As Faye and the witches investigate, it's soon apparent that there's much more on the line than dress fittings, decorations, and Bertie's stag do. For an old enemy is stirring in the shadows, bent on vengeance, and he's not above crashing a wedding to get it. Will the happy couple make it to the church on time, or will getting hitched spell Faye's doom? So I'm working on the edit at the moment, and this is full of all those people who hated me for bumping off a certain character in the end of Magic. Well, it gets emotional. My editor has left notes in the margin where she was tearing up. So there's something to look forward to, a little bit of emotional trauma in 2025. So apologies in advance. Also, just to bring up something really, really cool that I'm involved with, which is an anthology, the Law of Consequences anthology, which is a fantastical anthology. It's just topped the UK hot new releases chart on Amazon, which is really, really cool. Now, when we started the bestseller experiment, we dreamed of seeing our listeners get bestsellers, and we have seen plenty of them. But what's great about this anthology is there's a bunch of our most loyal, devoted, mad listeners who write fantasy all gathered together in one volume. It's been curated by W.A. Leggett, S.C. Gowland, and G.M. White. It explores the profound impact of the choices we make. It's got 20 stories by some best-selling and award-winning authors. I've got a story in here too. It's called Horrible, and it takes a moment from The End of Dragons and tells it from a completely new perspective. You don't need to have read The End of Dragons to make sense of it. If anything, you'll probably enjoy it all the more if you read this before you read The End of Dragons. So I'm going to pop a link in here just so that you can check it out and order it. It's available from Amazon and Apple and all sorts of other groovy people. Like I say, I'll be putting the links in the descriptions below, so eventually. And last bit of business before we meet our special guest, I am going to be at the Maidstone Steampunk Festival this weekend. So it's Saturday 27th of July. It's just 10 a.m. to 3 a.m. free entry at the Maidstone Museum, centre of Maidstone. I'll be there selling and signing books. There will also be tea dueling, familiar flinging, a bring and buy store, a fashion parade, and much more. Museum is free, but they welcome donations. But yeah, this will be my last sort of live event, if you like, for the summer. So see you there. Okay, right. Now let's get on my very special guest. This is JM Carr, or Jan Carr. Jan is the author of The Wonder Girls, which is about a gang of girls in the 1930s who foil the plots of the fascist black shirts. There's Baby Fingers, Gin, Brian, Sophie, Ida, and Letitia. They're kind of like the famous five if they had a social conscience and were less concerned with ice buns and ginger beer. Let's welcome Jan to the stage. Jan, how are you? Great to see you.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. This is such a thrill, and I want to do tea dueling.
Yeah, they do. They go. This is no joke because they dress up the steampunk. I love the steampunk guys because they're big readers. They love to read. This gets a little steampunky in places as well, but they love to read. But they will go around in their fantastic costumes and top hats and dresses and what have you, and they will have little china teacups on a holster. With a little, and it's great. They're just such a lovely bunch, such a lovely, friendly, welcoming bunch. So yeah, do come along, Maidstone, this Saturday. Folks, if you've got any questions for Jan, pop them in the comments as we speak, and hopefully I'll get back to them. In a minute, I want to discuss how each book in this trilogy was published. They were all brought to publication in different ways. And what I want to do as well is just bring up these covers. These covers are absolutely gorgeous. Thank you. Tell us about the Wonder Girls trilogy.
Well, as you said, they're about a 1930s girl gang that rescue kids in peril, and the peril is provided by the black shirts. And it starts off in 1936 with the first book, which is the blue one, which has it opens against the Battle of Cable Street, and Cable Street was when Oswald Mosley and his black shirts tried to march provocatively through Stepney and cause trouble. But the people of East London came together and stopped them. That is going on while my characters, they are on their way to America, because they're kind of street kids who've recently lost their minder, if you like, and they have heard that America is the land of opportunity. They're on the way to stow away on a ship to America, but they witness a kidnapping, and it's a black shirt bundling a girl into a car. And bear in mind, these are family-friendly books that strictly they're kind of middle grade, because my inner child is 11, and that's what comes out, and so they are, but they're family friendly. But anyway, so my girls have to make a detour, and they detour to the south coast, to a town that I call Nettlefield, but I've modelled on Fareham, which is a real place. between Portsmouth and Southampton. And interestingly, it has never returned anything other than the Tory MP, and the current incumbent is Ms. Braverman. Anyway, so I thought it'd be great to make that a sort of a den of fascism and riddled with black shirts. Lots of lovely people there too, so anyway, they get to Nettlefield, and they have to rescue the girl, and they find something else that's going on that they also have to deal with. Spoiler alert, they do. And then it moves on. So that's 1936. Then in 1937, something else is happening. So that's the first one. And this is the second one, set in 1937. And what's happening here is that in Southampton, and this is absolutely true, and I'm so proud of Southampton for this fantastic bit of history, is that Southampton takes in 4,000 child refugees from the Spanish Civil War and looks after them at a big children's camp just north of the city, and which wasn't a city then, it was a town. But and something else is going on at this camp, and that there is another black shirt who is trying to put children at risk. My girls sort them out. There's some other things happening as well, but that's the kind of the gist of it. And then finally, the last one, which is what I just published it a couple of months ago. Beginning of May. Then in this book, bear in mind that my characters at the beginning are trying to get to America. This book opens in America, and it starts and introduces. This one introduces a new character to the gang. This one introduces a new character to the gang, and at the beginning of this book, my new character, she is a muckraker. And muckraker is a kind of early 20th century term for an investigative journalist. Kind of has other connotations now, but right. It has, that's what she was called. And she's modeled on, my character is called Veronica, and she's modeled on a fantastic woman called Frances Sweeney. And Frances Sweeney was a real life woman who sadly died when she was only 36. And she ran her own paper, the Boston City Reporter. It was a very small affair, and because it was just her and some volunteers, and these are young men who she used to go out and do the research for her, because she was primarily concerned about anti-Semitism in the Catholic Church. So, that's what her volunteers went out to do research on, this particular topic for her. But she also worked for the Boston Herald, doing something that's very 21st century. She works on something called a rumor clinic, which is basically debunking fake news. So Frances Sweeney was the model for my heroine, Veronica. So the story starts in America, but for one reason or another, quickly shifts back to Nettlefield, other words, Fareham. And the question is, will my characters from the beginning, from 19, who go all the way through, so it's a similar group of characters to all the way through, but will my characters from the beginning actually get to America at the end? So that's the gist of the story.
Fantastic. And was it always going to be a trilogy? Did you always imagine it as 3 books?
Not really. So I started book 1 in 2014, and it was a NaNoWriMo book. And originally it was just the one character. So whereas now it's a sort of a dual point of view, 2 points of view, 2 characters who and I kind of but when I finished the first book, when I eventually I put it out there myself, then I wanted to write some more, and I discovered that of course this wonderful bit of history for 1937 was right on my doorstep. So once I'd done the second, then I had to do a third, and also it really helped to for me to really think through my main character, who is a street kid called Baby, really think through her backstory and exactly where she's coming from and where she is actually headed. So 3 is a magic number, isn't it?
It is
So
indeed.
yeah,
It is indeed.
yeah,
Yes, no,
perfect.
absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and I didn't want to keep going because I don't think I've got the stamina for it. and also I like three.
Yeah, no, very good, very good. And I want to talk because they were each funded in different ways. Now, the first book was grant funded. Is that correct? Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, I had a grant. To be absolutely transparent, I used to work for an organisation that was a volunteer organisation that no longer exists. So I won't tell you its name or anything, but it was mostly distributing funds from a secret millionaire, and I had this project, and I was able to, and the other members of the organization sort of said, yes, you can go ahead with this project with some of these funds. So I had enough to buy an editor and get the first cover. So that really helped.
A secret millionaire.
Yeah, it's no longer exists anymore. So there's no but it was a really good organization that helped lots of people to fulfill their dreams. So, and it was my dream.
Fantastic.
And then
the second book, Resist, was you did as a Kickstarter.
Yeah.
Now for that you needed £3,500 to print them, and you were giving copies to schools and libraries. How was that whole Kickstarter experience for you?
Oh, well, it was great because it made me really think through what I was doing, and it made me produce lots of kind of marketing type material. Even marketing I'm not great at, but so it was a really good experience, but it was hard. It was just to keep the energy up and to keep going and to sort of keep the faith, because at that point, if I hadn't sort of made the goal, because of course I'm sure, just in case anybody doesn't know, with Kickstarter, if you don't achieve your goal, it's all or nothing. So you've got to achieve your goal to get. And lots of people use Kickstarter and just make their goal, quite a modest goal, so that they ensure that they will get some money. But I needed that. I needed that amount of money to do anything. So a little bit wouldn't really have helped me. So because you still have to send the books out and send your rewards out, and I wouldn't have had anything left to. So it was too risky. So it was quite hectic, but it was very exciting when some all 99 wonderful people, including yourself, Mark, you were the first. You were the first supporter. You beat my daughter.
That made for an awkward Christmas.
Yeah, you were just so wonderful, and who supported it, and also all these people from people I don't know as well. It was so lovely, and then people I do know, and then people were just so wonderful. So it was great.
Yeah. And one of the things that you offered as a Kickstarter sort of level, what I liked is you kept it simple. I back a few Kickstarters, but it's when they start piling stuff on and stretch goals, and it's like they're all just kind of squeeze a little bit more out of you. But what I liked about you, one of the things you offered were school visits, which obviously is a genius thing to offer, because yes, it's it costs you to go there and it's your time and whatever, but if you do well at those school visits, they might ask you back. They're going to tell other schools and that sort of thing as well. So that, and for your books, I think that's with these books that have this strong historical angle to them as well, I think is such a wonderful thing. And also I just want to say, Jen did make me this wonderful notebook with the Wonder Girls logo on here, which I love. And there is a badge, but as well, it says a little badge too. I have started. I've almost finished it. I've been working on a project.
Wonderful.
It's a project I've had to put on hold for various reasons, because other stuff has happened. But it has been used and loved, and yeah. So we got a question here. This is from PD Doling. Jan, would you recommend the Kickstarter route, or is it not an experience you'd repeat? Well, I mean,
I am strong. Once I have cleared my current debt, which third book, spoiler alert, I got a 0% credit card for, because I discovered I could sell them. But what I am going to do is a Kickstarter to get the audiobooks. So I think it's definitely worth doing. There are different strategies for Kickstarter. My son-in-law, he was really, really helpful, because he's done a successful Kickstarter for a tabletop card game. He's really well. So he had lots of great tips for it. And so I am considering doing a Kickstarter for the audiobooks once I've kind of cleared my debt. I'm not an entrepreneur. I don't have much of an entrepreneurial spirit. For my head, for my sanity, I need to have cleared that debt before I do anything else. I
understand that. I mean, that $3,500 is roughly what it cost me to publish The End of Dragons. I mean, End of Magic was a unbound book, and I raised $5,000 for that, but that was, they printed a lot of that to start with, whereas I'm still only print on demand. So Kickstarter route is something I'm seriously thinking about as well, either for book 3 or like you say, the audiobooks, because these would be great in audio, but I want to do it properly. I've tried recording it myself. And it's I mean, the house is so creaky, the sound is variable. You need a studio or a proper setup to do it properly. And also, I can narrate, but narrating 125,000 words with accents, I realize in The End of Magic there's a Scottish accent, and it gets a bit Billy Connolly. So I decided
sometimes that doesn't stop people.
I know, but it stopped me. I think it's important to know your limits, Jan. I think it's important to know where to draw the line. I'm thinking
on Kickstarter. There is an author called A.P. Bezick, Beswick, who did I think he did his first Kickstarter at the same time as I did the Wonder Girls. Now he is doing amazing things. He's as an independent self-published author. He's on the stage at 50 books to 20 books to 50k. He is using Kickstarter a lot. So look up AP Bezick and for his Kickstarter strategy, and I think he maybe starts with a lower goal. So
okay, that's interesting, because also our friend Julian Barr, who was on here last month, I believe, he's doing a comic book, and he's doing a Kickstarter for that. But it's going to be really, really good fun, I think. So we'll keep an eye on that. Might get Julian back on to talk about that. So Annika has a question. I searched now, wanted to buy the books, but couldn't find them. Will there be ebooks and Google Books eventually? So Annika, is this regards to Jan's books? So are your books on Google Books, or are you just on Kindle?
They're Google Play. Play. And they are, but also if you just go to jmcarr.com, and there are different ways to buy the books, which completely bypass Amazon. So I've got ebooks on PayHip, a PayHip shop, and of course these books are directly from me.
Brilliant. So, you see the link scrolling across the bottom there, jmcarr.com. So thanks for that. Thanks for that very much.
Thank you.
You mentioned that the third book you did on your credit card, and what you are doing is you are printing these and having them delivered to your house. And I'm going to pop a link in the comments here, and I'll pop it in my blog and in the description below, of a lovely video you did on YouTube and I think TikTok, where you had a guy come with a pallet and deliver. I love the expression on the guy's face when he sees you filming him. So they're kind of blocking up your hallway at the moment. Is that right?
Well, it's going down. It's going down.
Good.
So I order 1,000 books at a time. Perhaps you could get a lower what's the word, how much each book costs. You could get that lower if I ordered more, but I think 1,000 is the limit for me. So I've sold at least 1,000. So Brilliant. Given that I've got 3, so the latest 1,000, and it was the same chap that delivered the second lot of books. So that's happened 3 times now.
I mean,
So yeah,
just
palette Pete.
just to give people an idea, so something like this, which is print on demand, and you can order, from in 10s or 20s as well. These cost about £4.50 each to print. Whereas if you print 1,000 or whatever, you're paying about £2.40, £2.50 to print them.
Yeah.
And they cut. I mean, look, here are the books here. It doesn't really show up, but you've got specials on there. You've got, spot lamination. The spines are amazing. These would sit in any bookshop next to any books, and you got the Cindy Press, which I believe is named after your border collie. Is that right?
Yes, yes, she's behind me.
Okay, so
the publisher.
Exactly. So
we
these are
gorgeous,
and this is something again I would like to do with the End of Magic books, because these are great. But I love a special, and having been to, and we'll talk about fairs and Comic-Cons and things at the moment, having been to fairs and Comic-Cons, people love a lovely cover, but they love a lovely cover with something a bit special on it. They just snatch them up, and it makes all the difference. So let's talk about, because you did, and again, I'll just put a link in the comments to a wonderful blog that you've done called How to Sell Books, and you've sort of break down going to fairs, craft fairs, book fairs, what have you.
Yeah.
And I do this as well at Comic-Cons and festivals and all that kind of thing. Talk about those days. First of all, what do you like about those days? Because it's you have to drive somewhere, you've got to set things up, you've got to get the books, it's quite a hassle. So what do you enjoy about those days?
Well, I've kind of honed the process so that I can go on public transport with my wheelie suitcase, and my banners and just my rucksack. So I don't have to drive necessarily, and because I know now more or less how many books I can reasonably expect to sell, and a couple of times I thought I might run out, but usually when I think that's the kiss of death to sales. I just love talking to people, and I particularly love hearing their stories as well. You meet so many interesting, surprising people, and usually what's so interesting, I start off by saying, oh, hello, if anybody shows a little bit of interest, they, oh, hello, this is me, and these are my books. And when you point that out, they go, oh, it's a kind of like, so you can't just expect people to realize who you are and what you're selling, even though you've got 3 great big banners and stuff behind you. They're hiding the mess in the bedroom. And I really enjoy talking to people, particularly hearing their stories. I loved when I was at and also it's a little bit, some fairs, you get a number of people who say, oh, I don't read. Oh, okay. And then you get these wonderfully surprising people, and so for instance, at the weekend I was at Toll Puddle, which is the TUC Martyrs, the Toll Puddle Martyrs Festival. Anyway, it's quite a very lefty festival. And so I thought, oh, maybe that's my audience. And, lots of very surprised people, lots of people who read, but mostly read nonfiction. But then I had this chap come along who older than me, and, and he was along with his group of friends. And he said, oh, that's a really good book, he said, about this one. Oh, I really enjoyed that book. And I thought, I don't remember you. And he borrowed it from the library, because I've got them in Southampton libraries. Right. And I think maybe his daughter, or I think he said his daughter or a relative had got it out for him, thinking he might enjoy it. And he really enjoyed it, and had my photo with him and everything. And that was just so wonderfully surprising. And then there was another lady who, again, it was this book, I suppose, because I'm selling these in fairly local to the area that, Southampton, that this book is kind of, and a lady came by, and she didn't, don't never assume, makes an ass out of you and me. But I thought, oh, she's probably not a reader. But she came along and she picked it up, and I said, oh, did you know about the little bit of history that this is based on? And she said, yes. And I said, how? And she said, oh, my dad used to run across and play with the kids at the camp on the back. There's, the little the children's camp, and she told me all about that. And then there's just so many. These are just two, but there are lots of lovely examples of people telling me stories, which I really enjoy.
Yeah, I mean, you have that wonderful historical angle, and I've seen, again, if you visit the blog, folks, you will see the display that Jan puts up, which has you've got props as little conversation starters, haven't you? So even, like I said, even if they're not readers or they're not expecting you to, because I've done Christmas fairs, where people go around and they're buying cakes and decorations and gifts, and they go, oh, book, as if you go, what are you doing here? But, so you have to so you have to have something to sort of draw them in. Oh, it's fantastic. Do you ever get the thing? So you'll be sitting there with your books, and they'll look at the books, and then they'll look at you, and they'll look at the books, and they'll look at you and go, "Are you the author?"
Yes.
Yeah, I get that. I'm thinking of getting a badge saying, "Yes, I'm the bloody author."
That's a good idea. That's a good idea.
Yeah. Because I guess they're used to, they have those Scholastic and Usborne book things where, that people are selling other people's books. But no, I'm definitely author. And the other one I've had a couple of times, and this might be because I'm at Comic-Cons where you've got famous authors. Like I remember sitting next to Adrian Tchaikovsky, fantastic, brilliant science fiction author, really lovely guy. His queue was like Gandhi's funeral. It just stretched off as far as the eye could see, and there's me sitting next to him with no one. So but I get people. You get people at Comic-Cons or whatever, and they'll whisper. They'll lean forward and they'll whisper, and they'll look around and they'll say, "I'm sorry, I've never heard of you." It's like,
I had that too. Yeah.
It's okay. It's not a test.
Right.
I think it's people who read book reviews in the Times or the Guardian. Think, well, I know everything about literature, not realizing that most publishers put out 60 books a month. So anyway, that one does wind me up. I do say to them, look, there's not going to be a test, so don't worry. Got a question from PD Doling again. If you self-publish, can you get the books into a normal, air quotes, bookshop, or is it a case of going into each individual shop and convincing them? So you mentioned you've got your book into libraries. Have you got your books into bookshops as well?
Well, I have. So in our local independent bookshop, yes, they're there. October Books in Portsmouth in Southampton. It was very hard to get them into Waterstones, and in a way I really wanted them in Waterstones just so I could say, oh look, but I'm not actually that bothered anymore. It was a case of their ordering system said no because they liked it and blah blah. So, but I'm not really bothered about that because I can sell them myself, and actually putting them through bookshops, you lose a lot. You lose a lot of money. I'm trying to pay back a 0% credit card. Fortunately, it is 0%. So book, you've got to give the bookshop at least 40% discount, obviously, because they've got their overhead and So I have kind of got a bit of a. Perhaps I can go into an independent bookshop and actually sell them as if I were at a craft fair, and then I could perhaps negotiate a little less of a discount to the bookshop. But so I'm not too bothered about that. Also, it's an awful lot of admin if you're going to each individual shop and convincing them, as PD Doling says, then that's a lot of admin and a lot of work. So I'm quite happy just doing it myself.
For not much in the way of sales as well. Yeah, because the other thing you need to get onto the feed that goes out there, to get the gardener's feed and what have you, you need an ISBN, and you either pay about 150 quid for one, or you spend about it's a lot more for like a batch of 10 or whatever. So it's really, really like I say, admin heavy, expensive. And even when you're on that listing, they want 50% discount, but they also want return. They want to be able to return them if they don't sell them. I mean, you can put them up for firm sale, but bookshops don't buy firm sale. They want to return them. So you have to be able to offer that as well. So there is, and now we've got the tools, because I've got like a WooCommerce store on my website where we sell them direct. So you go, so indies are great because they generally have their own systems and they can add stuff manually. But the chains, Waterstones, Smiths, I'd say forget it. It's just really, really hard, really, really hard.
So they can, or I ISBN numbers, and I bought 15. You know, when I started, and I've used them all up now. On you have to use when I've got other books, but anyway. So through the ISBN, then libraries can order them. So I think a couple of libraries might have ordered that way, and but mostly I just donate to libraries, and when I'm there, when I'm in whatever. And so I think having an ISBN is very important, and also it's for the that legal deposit thing. I'm a bit behind with my legal deposit, where the British Library and I
haven't done that with any of my. I should be confessing to you. I should probably do it soon. Yeah, because you have to send a copy to the British Library, don't you?
Yeah, I did for the first one, and they send an email through the ISBN, I guess, to request it. And I think, oh, okay, I'll do that later.
I've not had that. What am I doing wrong? I haven't had that. Just so people know, the ISBN is the International Standard Book Number, which used to be a 10-digit number, and it's 13 digits now. Which is each individual number, you know, and you have to have one not just for each book, but for each edition of the book. So if you see a book that's got a hardcover, a paperback, a mass market paperback, an audio book, a CD, cassettes, they all had to have their own ISBNs as well. And what you'll notice is that some publishers have their own. Because I worked in a bookshop, I used to know all the publisher prefixes. So like I think 0304 was Hodder, 0575 was Transworld, something like that. So, you know, I'm such a nerd. But so having those gets you on the system, but whether or not it's worth it, I'm not sure. But did you ever consider going down the traditional route? I mean, because you were part of, we first met at Scooby, you were just telling me before we went live. So did you ever consider going down the traditional route and pitching to publishers?
Yeah, so I've got 3 other books that I've since just put out there myself as Amazon, just for the completer finisher in me. So I just put them out there. And I'd had lots of interest in the book just prior to the Wonder Girls, but it fizzled out. So that's what actually made me start the Wonder Girls, do something different. And then, you know, I did NaNoWriMo in 2014, and at the time I was doing lots of stuff with Scooby with their conference, and I used to edit their online magazine and different things. Yeah, mostly. And you know, and of course I was trying very hard for the traditional route, and I had some agent interest, and I was also doing a thing called the Golden Egg Academy, which is kind of has a connection to Chicken House and Barry Cunningham, famously Harry Potter discoverer, you know, and so through that, Barry did say that the Wonder Girls was publishable. That were, you know, and but not right for his list. Love that. Oh well, I hate that excuse, but anyway, fair enough. Okay, that's fine. Fair. So anyway, but around about that time, there was a few other possibilities, which in the end came to nothing. But also did have an offer of publication from an American publisher, and I just googled them just to see if they were still going. I think they were BCH Press or BHC Press, something like that. I've forgotten. I've got it muddled up in my head now. But I found on email, I found the contract that they sent me, and I kind of at the time I thought no, because I didn't like the covers for their middle grade stroke teen books, and so I decided not to go with that, and I am really pleased. I'm proud, you know, I am proud of them, and
you should be.
I'm really pleased that I've done it myself, because I think undoubtedly if I'd gone with a publisher of any type, whether it was the American publisher or there was a bit of interest from a new British publisher, but I don't think that would have come to anything, you know. But undoubtedly, it would not be that story. It would be a different.
Yeah.
They would have had other concerns or other, I don't know, criteria or whatever. But and I wanted to tell this story and in this way, and so I'm really pleased and proud that I've done it myself, and it's wholly mine,
Yes.
and I haven't had to compromise at all. You know, at a certain point, then I'd have thought, well, if somebody had offered me a contract, then yes, I'd do whatever, you know, because they were going to pay me. I would do whatever they said, but no, I'm part beyond that now.
Yeah, no, I think you're right, and
yeah.
I think you're absolutely right to be proud of them as well. They're fantastic books.
Thank you.
Just for the people watching, Scooby. Just tell us what Scooby is, just so we don't skip over that.
Thank you, Rob. It's the Society of Children's Book Writers and Illustrators. It's very big in America, and there is a British Isles bit, and there's bits all over the world in different countries, and it's a really supportive organization for writers and illustrators, and it's lots of fun. Great conference, lots of wordsandpictures.org is their online magazine, lots of informative things. If you really dig down deep, you'll find me there as a previous editor. And you know, it's just a very supportive, friendly organization, but yeah.
So really, if you're a children's author looking for guidance,
it's a really good place to start, and definitely.
Brilliant. And just before we finish, I just want to talk about the covers, because they are amazing. They're by Anne Glenn, who was an art director at Pan Macmillan. How did you find Anne? What was it like working with her? Tell us about
these. Great. We found her on another friend recommended readsy.com, which is a great site to find any publishing professional, and usually, you know, quite often you find that people like Anne who have been with a major organization, major publisher, and perhaps are now doing some freelance, and that's how I found her. And what's great about it is that you can do the rejecting. You know, you kind of get a few kind of you know, people sort of touting their particular offer to you, and you can say no thank you, or yes please. So that was great fun. And so readsy.com. I also found the first editor and proofreader on there, who are very, very good. But then sort of shortly after the first book, I joined the BXP team, and then found Julian. Hooray!
Yes, Julian Barr.
So thank you, Julian. And so Julian edited the second two, and but readsy.com is where I found Anne, and I'm so happy that she was able to do all three, because it would have been a disaster if I had to have another designer for the others, because then they wouldn't have looked like a set. So yeah.
They are amazing. They look so good together. They look so good together.
And what you can't see on there is that they because what you don't get on Amazon Print on Demand is the embossing and the spot varnish, and on the back here, my little
stars, shiny stars. They're so beautiful.
So,
that's fantastic. Brilliant. Thank you, Jan. I really appreciate that.
Thank you.
Let's. Can you put that link up? I missed what Jan said. So that's Readsy. Is it REDS?
Yeah, that's it.
Readsy.com. I've just put it in the comments below. It should ping up in the comments below. There we go. Readsy.com. Like I say, I'll put links in the show notes and my blog later on as well. Now, we're going to wrap things up. It's flown by. This has been great. I've got a new question that I want to ask authors who come on here. What brings you joy at the moment? What's bringing you joy this week? Could be a book, film, theatre, TV. What would you like to share with the good people out there in YouTube?
Well, TV-wise, I've really been enjoying The Turkish Detective on the BBC iPlayer. Really good. Book-wise, I just started. Husband bought me this book, which is I've just started. It's on my shelf of blue books. I had to make this shelf because usually it's got my sewing stuff on there, but that doesn't look very writerly, does it? So I thought I can't deal with the angst of choosing whose book to put up there, so I just thought I'd go with blue. But this is quite good. Lots of different authors, about some people. I've looked at a book taking place during lockdown in New York.
Oh, right.
Lots of different people living in a block of flats who all meet on the top to tell each other stories.
Oh, brilliant.
Also been reading The Law of Consequences, but I've been reading that Kindle. And I love making things. So my son, what's going to bring me joy tomorrow is I'm seeing my son and my daughter on. Got 2 sons, 2 daughters, but one son on tomorrow and a daughter on yesterday. I made my son some shorts, some cool linen shorts. So that gives me joy. The dog gives me joy. She's buggered up. She's gone. And Southampton Common, the dog, the publisher. I love Southampton Common. So we'll walk her every day. So,
wonderful. That's great.
Thank you.
I'll chip in as well. I'm going to do this every month too. So things that are bringing me joy at the moment. I watched the first episodes of the new Time Bandits TV show, which is written by Jermaine Clement, directed by Taika. I mean, I love the movie. The movie is sacred to me because Kevin in Time Bandits. I loved American films, but I never saw Kids Like Me in show. And Kevin in Time Bandits still is the most relatable character I've ever seen in film. This nerdy kid whose parents, love him but don't really understand him, who goes off on a time travel adventure. Still one of my favorite films, but the Time Bandits TV show is really good fun and the kid in it is fantastic. I've been reading this book, which is My Family and Other Rock Stars, which is by Tiffany Murray, and she grew up on the farm in Wales, which was a recording studio where the likes of Queen and Hawkwind and Motorhead recorded their albums, and it's all in the 70s. It's got the 76 heat wave in there. Lots of nostalgia in that one. I've really enjoyed that. I've discovered the music of Lana Del Rey, which obviously lots of people will know, but she's amazing. There's an album called Norman Effing Rockwell, which is really good. And another book, I'm halfway through a fantasy novel called The Last Shield by Cameron Johnston, which the pitch is Die Hard in a castle with magic. It's coming on the 13th of August. I'm halfway through. It's absolutely brilliant. So that's what's bringing me joy. Look at this. Laura Kettridge, I've just downloaded Wonder Girls book. Looking forward to giving it a read later. Fantastic. Brilliant.
Thank you very much, Laura.
Lovely stuff. Thank you, Laura. And thank you, everyone, for coming. It's been absolutely amazing. Jen, such a joy to speak to you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, my absolute pleasure. Listen, folks, I started these monthly live streams in order to keep people up to date on what's happening with the End of Dragons. But I really enjoy speaking to wonderful authors like Jan, and I think I might keep them going. So what do you say? Shall I come back next month? And besides, I've got Cornbride coming in March, and there might be some exciting news between now and then as well. So what do you think? Shall I come back next month and maybe we do that spoiler episode? So I don't know. What do you think? Yes. Oh, getting yeses definitely. Okay, that's good. Phew, they were taking their time there. So there was a delay. I appreciate it. Brilliant. Well, I'll be back next month. Subscribe to my newsletter at markstaywrites.com or wishesofwoodville.com. You get lots of free short stories there as well. Jen, do you have a newsletter that people can subscribe to? Or just...
I should have. I should have. I'm very bad about newsletters. But I'm here. I'm on the internet. I just put a chat thing on my. I just put a chat thing on my website. So
brilliant. And people can buy the books directly from you when they do that. Because when you buy, say this was $8.99 in Waterstones. If someone paid $8.99 for this in Waterstones, you would get about 69 pence from that sale.
Yeah.
Whereas if they buy it direct from you, you get the majority of the money.
$7.99. $7.99. So it's about the same. It's about the same to buy from me this rather than as it is to go to Amazon.
Brilliant. Lovely. Well, we're going to wrap it up there. Thank you, everyone, for your amazing comments. Thank you for showing up tonight. Brilliant. Jan, an absolute pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you.
Until next time, folks, happy reading. Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
It's still live. I've clicked stop the live thing, but we're still going. I don't know what's going on. We'll just keep waving. End of the stream. Just keep waving. I might just leave the studio. I have clicked. There we go. Anyway, I'm going to click leave the studio, Jan. I don't know if you can do that. Well, let's do
Thanks so much. Thank you. I'll click.